Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?
Trump initiates trade war, Republicans face uncertain future. The trade war is characterized by unpredictability, raising concerns among investors and businesses alike.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime.
Elon Musk and others
rapists.
express shock as the ramifications of this trade conflict unfold globally.
I'm scared of this tariff stuff because it's radical change. I'm scared of radical change.
It was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight.
I'm hopeful, for example, with the tariffs, that at the end of the day, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America. That would be that's what I hope occurs.
Republicans find themselves in a challenging position, awaiting the outcome of this tumultuous trade war.
With a global trade war underway, Trump's Treasury Secretary spoke at a bankers' conference this morning, perhaps to try and calm jittery nerves, but he didn't sound particularly convinced himself.
I can tell you that there is a little uncertainty, but that in general, the companies that I've spoken to, people who have come to CEOs, who have come into Treasury, tell me that the economy is very solid. We got some very good jobs numbers last Friday. So, I think that we are in pretty good shape.
It was a great election, yeah.
Mr. President, the U.S. military transferred 17 individuals to El Salvador overnight. Did you discuss with your team whether these deportations would run afoul of any recent court orders?
No, I do want to thank, however, the president. He has been unbelievable and, in relation to us. But I think that our people have done an incredible job. I got elected on the basis of getting bad people out of our country that shouldn't be here, very dangerous people out of our country. And that's what I did. And then you have a judge that wants to take over. And I can't imagine it can be allowed. If it was up to him, they'd all be put back in our country. These are killers. These are drug lords. These are really bad people. But I want to thank the president of El Salvador because he's done an amazing job. You saw it. Yeah.
Elon Musk's special government.
This morning, the Trump administration making an emergency plea to the Supreme Court, asking the justices to reverse the decision of a D.C. appeals court and a lower court judge and allow the White House to resume deportations of Venezuelan migrants to a prison in El Salvador. The filing marking the first time the High Court would consider President Trump's use of a rarely invoked, centuries-old wartime law, the Alien Enemies Act, to deport migrants the administration claims are members of a Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua. 2 planes carrying more than 200 people already sent to El Salvador, despite a federal judge ordering the flights be turned around.
We can visit with them if you want.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem this week visiting that cramped prison holding the migrants. The White House offering little proof of their gang affiliations. And while some of the alleged gang members sent to El Salvador had criminal records, a top ICE official telling a federal judge that many did not.
This facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use.
And now the ACLU, which sued on behalf of 5 migrants to block the deportations, urging the Supreme Court to continue the pause, saying the president acted unlawfully and the migrants were sent off to a notorious foreign prison without any process.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. We do have some breaking news to get to. This coming out of the Supreme Court just last hour here. This is what we know here. Well, the Supreme Court today saying that the Trump administration must work to bring back a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to prison in El Salvador. This is a rejection of the administration's emergency appeal in this case here. The court acted in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran citizen who had an immigration court order preventing his deportation to his native country over fears he would face persecution from local gangs. Now, the U.S. district judge in all of this, in the lower court, had ordered Abrego Garcia, now being held in a notorious Salvadoran prison, returned to the United States by midnight on Monday. The court said in an unsigned order with no noted dissents, quote, the order properly requires the government to, quote unquote, facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador and to ensure his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador. So, like I said, this is breaking right now, and this was a unanimous order by the Supreme Court, 9-0. Now, this comes after a string of rulings on the court's emergency docket, where the conservative majority has at least partially sided with Trump amid a wave of lower court orders slowing the president's sweeping agenda. Though in this case today, Chief Justice John Roberts had already pushed back the lower court judge's deadline. The justices also said that her order must now be clarified to make sure it doesn't intrude into executive branch power over foreign affairs, since Abrego Garcia is being held abroad.
Respond to the Supreme Court ruling and the other courts about the gentleman who was from Maryland who was put in the El Salvador prison.
Is that the one that was not Tren de Aragua when he was MS-13?
Which is the one that they've said needs to come back.
No, but was he MS-13? Because I only know by that. I mean, I don't know which one. But if the Supreme Court said bring somebody back, I would do that. I respect the Supreme Court.
And the lower court judge as well. He's been asking for daily
I'm not talking about the lower court. I have great respect for the Supreme Court. So I'm not I'm not totally well versed as to the specific case. But if they said to bring him back, I would tell them to bring him back.
The court said the Trump administration should also be prepared to share what steps it has taken to try to get him back and what more it could potentially do here. Kyle Cheney, who covers the Supreme Court for Politico, with the very brief order there saying, breaking, the Supreme Court will require the Trump administration to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I believe we also have in as well a statement there from the Department of Justice, Josh Gerstein at Politico as well, the DOJ saying this, quote, as the Supreme Court correctly recognized, it is the exclusive prerogative of the president to conduct foreign affairs. By directly noting the deference owed to the executive branch, this ruling once again illustrates that activist judges do not have the jurisdiction to seize control of the president's authority to conduct foreign policy. So this case really set up a battle between whether or not the courts have jurisdiction over a president's foreign policy moves vis-a-vis El Salvador, also vis-a-vis illegal immigration. Now, the administration claims Abrego Garcia is a member of the MS-13 gang. Let's put his photo up yet again. Though he's never been charged with or convicted of a crime, his attorney said there's no evidence he was an MS-13. Now, the administration has conceded that it made a mistake in sending him to El Salvador, but it argued at the time it no longer could do anything about it. The court's liberal justices said the administration should have hastened to correct its, quote, egregious error and was, quote, plainly wrong to suggest it could not bring him home. So the administration acknowledging this was a mistake, that Garcia was deported to a Salvadoran prison, a notorious one at that. And now the Supreme Court, in a unanimous 9-0 ruling today, 9-0, saying the Trump administration must, quote unquote, facilitate his return. So we'll wait to see what that facilitation looks like and what that facilitation
Hello,
means.
everyone. I'm JVL here with my Bulwark colleague Sam Stein, and the polls are out for Trump. Liberation Day is sad.
Kind of a bust.
Wah, wah. Sam, I want to read some numbers to you because nothing makes good video like reading numbers.
I thought, first of all, bond markets, you said don't make good video this morning. I think they make good video.
That's it. I'm playing the hits. Trump's net approval down 7.3 points in a week following the announcement of the tariffs. His approval has a new low, 44.9%. Disapproval is a new high. Morning Consult has his approval at 46, which is the lowest point of his second term. We'll keep going on. But very quickly, not good, is it? You want line go up, not line go down, right?
Yeah, not good.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of wondering. We know where their bottom is, right? Or at least I think we know where the bottom is, right? Well, that's what
Nate Silver wrote a piece about this. We actually
What
don't.
did Nate say? What does Nate think?
Nate thinks that Trump's bottom has not yet been explored because he has not been president during a time of economic disruption that didn't have an exogenous cause.
Oh, so COVID, I get it. COVID does not count.
COVID doesn't count because it wasn't his fault somehow.
But what does an exogenous cause mean? Was the stock market crash in 2008 an exogenous cause? I don't know.
So I think it just means
China, Japan, Mexico. What I say is what I say. When do we beat Mexico at the border? They are not our friend. They're laughing at us. I don't think they like me very much. I don't think they like me very much. We need to build a wall, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. I am Donald Trump. What I say is what I say. Kai, Donnie, Don, Tiffany, Donald Trump. I'm really rich. Donald Trump. I'm really rich. Donald Trump. We have people in Washington. I'm really rich. We have people in Washington. I'm really rich. We have people in Washington that don't know what they're doing. Our country needs a truly great leader. Our country needs Donald Trump.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
Guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. Can everybody hear me? Is everybody good? It's Tuesday, guys, and we've got Tommy Nation Politics as usual, where we're free-thinking, innovative, totally open-minded, and we delve into the political matters of the day that concern us and concern maybe the world. I don't know. But there are some things happening, guys, that are going on. The Trump administration slowly walking up to reality of their actions after the tariff fiasco gave uncertain financial markets, economic long-term future uncertainty, right? And the inevitable national recession is being heralded from Forbes magazine, from Jamie Dimon, and from the military-industrial complex, Peter Hedgeseth. They're talking about how the $1 trillion military budget will also come into a culmination of a recession that we haven't seen before. Also, of course, Abrego Garcia is still not released from the El Salvadorian prison. And the president of El Salvador came to visit. And you guys, I want to get your commentary. I definitely want to get my guest commentary on his visit. I don't know if they saw the videos. We'll watch them together. But America has reached a very dangerous moment, guys. It's a moment where the Supreme Court's indulgence, I would say, of President Donald Trump has collided with the justices' expectation to abide by their decisions and to, of course, still be in the club of whatever MAGA is now. I don't know what MAGA is now. MAGA was America First. I don't think that lasted. MAGA was No Wars. I don't think that lasted. And MAGA was giving American people jobs. I don't think that lasted. So what is MAGA now? Who knows? But whatever the justices are, I would say, guys, this has been an untrammeled catastrophe. But we've got some heavy hitters joining us, some of the deepest, most popular TikTok streamers out there. These folks, guys, they know how to spark a conversation. They know how to keep it 100. They know how to censor themselves, guys, because they have to on TikTok. Guys, please welcome, of course, Relentless, that y'all saw on the podcast last time, and Purple Rose. Purple Rose, you there? What's going on?
We have breaking news. Attorney General Pam Bondi is
Beavis?
Yeah. Yep. I'm here. Give my Wi-Fi a minute to catch up.
Yeah, I'm glad, guys. We're having problems, but we're still, That's the least of our problems, I guess. First, I want to take it step by step, of course. How's it going, you guys? Purple Rose, you there?
I should be. Can you hear me? I
Yes.
believe my Wi-Fi is running well.
Very good, very good. Well, guys, we have Bernie Sanders and AOC going around the country talking about we can stop Trumpism with, of course, the platform the Democrats had back in 2016 that didn't win because of the partisan, the Hillary Clinton and her coronation, and so we're left with wondering what exactly we can do into keeping our democracy in place. And I don't know. There's so much to talk about. I don't really know where to start. So, guys, do y'all have any comments about like what's been going on at large? Period.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, good evening, Tommy. I hope you're having a nice evening. So I know when President Nayib Bukele came over here to the White House on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken, just yesterday, Trump was insisting that there would be just violent people that would be sent over. And let's not forget about the fact that the live mic caught him making that comment to Bukele that there would be, I believe it was roughly 5 more centers that would be needed to be constructed in order to house those homegrown criminals, as he so eloquently put it.
I just want to stop you there because we're going to play the clip. So
absolutely,
sources cited.
Back to El Salvador, the president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population. Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing?
Well, I love that. If we could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars, if he would take them, I'd be honored to give them. I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different. If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it. But I'd only do according to the law. But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally? We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born. And if we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about him, all they worry about is politics, they don't worry about that. I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody to take them, I'd be very happy with it, but I have to see.
Back to El Salvador, the president there said
So first of all, the president of the United States doesn't know what the law is. That's the first time I've ever seen. Y'all were talking about how, has he ever made a mistake, admitting he was wrong? Maybe this is the first time, Relentless and Purple Rose. Maybe he's finally now admitting that he has no idea what the law says. So, that's a good thing, right?
Let's hope that he's willing to actually admit that mistake, because he's factually, objectively 101% wrong. You can't do that, whether it's to U.S. citizens or to immigrants, right? In any way, shape, or form. In fact, what he described.
You should really read that thing, because it really lays it all out. You can't just you can't deport American citizens. Where would you deport them to? And then this is what my favorite part is because I hear all of these conversations on TikTok, and it's always like these arguments, man. Whoa, what about the person who bops an old lady on the head, who doesn't have a good lawyer? These are all things he imagines in his head. And then these people, man, they're gonna go to El Salvador. Wouldn't you put a person who runs an old lady into a house and bops people on the head and robs you, doesn't have a good lawyer? Would you put those people in El Salvador? These people that exist? I just don't even understand how he invents these people, and then we all know that it's us that he's putting there. Because he literally didn't even put gang members in El Salvador. That guy wasn't a gang member. So how are we supposed to believe you, Donald, about the person that bops a woman on the head? You can't even put gang members in El Salvador. Now you're inventing American citizens that need to go. It's amazing.
You're correct. Garcia himself, they claim he's an MS-13 member, but there are no ties to him being a part of any gang. Right. And in fact, when it comes to, citizens or anybody else within our borders, what he's essentially describing is the offshoring, the outsourcing of what is essentially a concentration camp, right? Because ultimately, all it is, when you look at the definition, is where you put large groups of people, political prisoners or members of a persecuted minority, in deliberate, or when they're deliberately imprisoned in a small area with inadequate facilities, and you force them either to provide labor or to await mass sentencing or execution. So the fact that he's willing to sort of concoct this scenario as though nobody would object to, the elderly being used or abused, and then suggest that the only adequate response, rather than dealing with it here domestically, is to send them to El Salvador of all places and then punish them, using cruel and extreme amounts of punishment. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable that Trump, in 2020, I believe, the election where he ran against Joe Biden, right? And he lost. He would always talk about Joe Biden and the crime bill. And he would talk about how Joe Biden locked up people for crazy amounts of time. Remember when he was talking about Joe Biden and the crime bill? This guy is gone 10 times over Joe Biden and the crime bill with the El Salvador business. It's so weird. So this is my question to you, Relentless, because I am wondering this too. What is left of MAGA? MAGA was anti-war. We're in Yemen. We're in wars now. MAGA was America first. Elon's getting his HSB-1 visas, and they're firing federal workers. These federal workers are Americans. So, and then what else were they for? Families? I mean, what are we doing for families? Are we doing tariffs for families? Because this guy just learned groceries. He learned groceries the other day. Groceries, it's a word I just learned, groceries. So he remembers the groceries, but other than that, nothing really much else for the middle class. Nothing much else for the working class American Trump supporter, who's on Medicare, who's on Social Security, who's probably living paycheck to paycheck, right? Like 80% of the country, who probably doesn't have adequate health care, who probably has health care that's going to be denied because their surgeries are too expensive. What are they thinking? Is this MAGA still a thing? I don't know. What's holding it together? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a excuse me. That's a great question, because we've heard so many times that everyone wants to make America great again. Everyone who supports Trump wants America to be great. But I've asked so many MAGA supporters, what is it that Trump has done? I mean, truly done, not just promised, not just boasted about, not outright lied about. What has he done to help you? And we know he's built less than 10% of the wall he promised to build. Mexico didn't pay so much as a dime or even a penny, and he promised he was going to make them do so. He hasn't dropped grocery bills. He hasn't helped them with any kind of care, whether it's social or otherwise. There's nothing to speak of, nothing to present from his side. And so I genuinely want to know, as you've asked so eloquently, what do you expect from Trump? What do you want him to present, not just to us, the non-believers, but to you, one of his supporters, one of his core constituents? What is it that you expect from him? And can you show us, the unbelievers, the non-believers, any proof of this? And so I want to know, are these individuals, are they deluded? Do they live in a fantasy world? Are they hateful? Are they simply ignorant? What exactly is the issue? This disconnect between themselves and reality as we know it.
I think that's a really good question, and I just I don't have the answer to that because I asked you, but I just want to show these Trump supporters the receipts, because these guys they obviously don't see what Trump is doing. He says he's going to follow the law, and yet every single court in every single district of every single state. The District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., his town, they're all just striking everything he says down. It's not because they don't like him. It's because everything he's doing is literally against the law. He says he usually follows the law, but so today, 4 hours ago, MSN, a federal judge in Massachusetts, has blocked the unlawful termination of humanitarian parole processes by Trump administration. Far more than 500,000 Cubans, Haitians, and Nicaraguans and Venezuelans who have been allowed to enter the United States and work under an umbrella of deportation protections. Okay, so they filed a lawsuit in February because I guess humanitarian civil rights wasn't being upheld at that time, and we all know Trump's style. It's kids in cages, and kids outside, with their mothers not knowing where they are. We all know about Trump's immigration processes. Okay, but a 41-page order asked him to give them these people, the due process that they need, and all of these things under the Constitution, like all of the rights that we have as Americans, present the values and principles and lawfare of the United States of America. And here you have these guys seeking asylum. The Maryland guy was seeking asylum. He was literally trying to get away from El Salvador because of the gangs. They sent him right to El Salvador without due process. I mean, I can't see a worse representative for our values and principles or the Constitution than this guy. And then, I mean, I don't mean to keep running on, but it's just like, he literally says, I will listen to the Supreme Court. I will listen to the Supreme Court if they tell me to go get this guy. They told him 9-0. 9-0, bro. Don't go get him. What the fuck are you doing here? And he's still dawdling his head. Okay, no. Now he's not only dawdling his heads, he's got literally this guy, this president of El Salvador, to be a cuck. Look into this guy's eyes, relentless. You're gonna see the eyes of Ashraf Ghani, the eyes of every puppet of the empire of the United States. Every guy that we kill, Saddam Hussein, you're gonna see him. You're gonna see Osama bin Laden in this guy's eyes. He's just literally, I'm the puppet of Trump, and I can't even make a decision without him. I have a leash.
You are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Could you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanting because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan
But
to
the
ask
Supreme
for
Court's
anyone to get
asking
him back?
to. And
that
what was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
in our favor.
In our favor, against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
no version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele,
Presidente Bukele?
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States. I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you can release him inside of Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world to the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into our
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Marco, do you have something to say about
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin, except for Venezuela that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country.
So there's just like so much stuff there, man. I don't even know where to start. First of all, they completely reverse the actual arguments of the judges that ruled against them, and he says that it's in their favor. When we all, I had to pull up the PDF, Ben, because there was so much confusion. These people are saying that it's in their favor. I had to read the opinions, and they're all of the opinion of that people should have due process when they come into our country. That's what they say. That's what Kavanaugh says. Kavanaugh says we should all exercise habeas corpus, and jurisdiction lies only in the district of confinement. Which, of course, the confinement is changed because they've shipped people to El Salvador without permission. And then that's this guy. I mean, he's learned the lessons of Zelensky. I mean, he must have seen that Zelensky clip where Trump was pissed at him, because this guy is literally just like sucking Trump's dick openly. How could I put a terrorist in the United States of America with this president who gave me $6 billion for prisons? And Joe Biden's the crime bill guy. I don't know.
It's unbelievable. You have the U.S. No, absolutely. I mean, you've got a great point, and it just boggles the mind. I mean, this is one of the reasons I'm just at a loss for words ever since this podcast has started. Like, it's just point after point. It's just so the blatant lies. It's just jaw dropping. So, U.S. District Judge Paula Zenas ordered administration officials to turn over evidence of their efforts to help bring Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. And she has said that they've gotten nothing. So her quote is, "I've gotten nothing. I've gotten no real response and no real legal justification for not answering." Then justify why. That's what we do in this house. And so even attorneys for Abrego Garcia, I believe it was... I apologize. I'm blanking on her name here. It's here we go. Rena Godhe. That's what it is. She says this case isn't about whether Abrego Garcia is a terrorist. This case is about the government unlawfully and admitting to unlawfully removing a gentleman from this country, from Maryland, from his home, his family, his children, and taking no actions, no meaningful steps to fix them, as ordered by the Supreme Court in a unanimous decision. There's no vagueness, there's no ambiguity, and the fact that this administration is not on their hands and knees profusely apologizing for this quote-unquote administrative error is appalling. In fact, they've done a 180 on that, right? They refuse to recognize the law, a legal command, and they should be held in contempt at the very least.
That's balls, man. You're right about that. Like, I mean, I kind of admire like how these people do it. Like, they literally get the news of you unanimously lost. The Supreme Court thinks that you guys are literally. I mean, you said people. You deport people without due process. What are you doing? There's a whole, and then they're like, you know what? It was in our favor. I wish I could just do that every time like someone gives me bad news. Just, like, turn it all around. And you know what? Relentless, they don't even deserve due process because they're murderers and rapists and they bring drugs to the country. So what do you think about that? You want to bring them back?
I mean, obviously,
I don't know, but I'm saying
that's exactly it. That's exactly you touched upon the biggest point, right? If anyone were to make claims like this, let us not forget that our legal system is based upon innocent until proven guilty, and that's not just a pipe dream. This is necessary, logically and philosophically speaking, that one must prove someone's lack of innocence. You can't just simply call someone guilty. They, meaning the White House, has done absolutely nothing to provide any evidence to support any one of the claims that they've made. So like you said, they called him not just a foreigner, but a terrorist, a MS-13 gang member. They said that these individuals, are constantly harassing and abusing women and children. They're murderers, rapists, what have you. Where's the proof, though? In fact, they've gone so far as to say, I believe it was Caroline Leavitt herself who said, let me go ahead and get the quote correct here. You would think we deported a candidate for Father of the Year. I cannot believe that this woman is mocking him. He doesn't deserve half of what he's going through, even if he were to be legally culpable for even some of the things they say. And she sits here and mocks him. We still have a process. You must respect the process. And if they could show even a fraction of the proof necessary to provide even a hint of the justification necessary to put him in the situation or circumstance in which he's currently residing, then maybe we should pause. But until then, we should shout loud and proud, do not deviate from the system upon which this entire country is founded. You can't just make claims about people like that.
I mean, I guess you can, and that's the first stepping stone to, of course, fascism, right? Where you are the heretic, you are the witch, you shall be burned. Do we need proof? No. Burn her. See if she doesn't burn. She doesn't burn. She's a witch. If she does, well, we're sorry. I mean, none of it makes any sense. And also the fact that the court doesn't even accuse him of being a member of MS-13. Yeah, that's the thing is, Purple Rose, is that there wasn't any due process. There wasn't any exhibition of evidence. There wasn't any arguments. There was no evidence. So, like, this is the funny part. The funny part is that Trump did have a mandate. He really did. He had a mandate to make the economy prosper. People are tired of being sick. Our life dependency level, our life dependency, of course, it slipped 6 years. I don't know if you saw that. Of course, the two parties raised Social Security age so that we couldn't get it. But we went down from 72 to 67 at life expectancy. So we're a sick, poorer people, and so these people, I don't think that the people that voted for Donald Trump, all of them, because he won the popular vote, first Republican since when? Reagan won the popular vote. So he had a mandate, okay, and his mandate was the border crisis too. He's taking all of these issues that the American people trusted him with, that they thought that he could make a change for them for the better, and he's literally just blowing it, man. He's blowing it. He's blowing his own mandate. He's actually blowing his fucking own mandate. I want to show you these numbers from USA Today. So let's look at these numbers and show this approval rating from Trump. So Trump was literally at a 67% approval when he was at Inauguration Day. And by the way, Inauguration Day was glorious. He talked about how people will have free speech. Remember that? He said people will now be able to walk down the streets and be proud to be Americans. But now his ICE is like taking people off the streets and deporting them to El Salvador. So I guess that was short-lived. And now his approval rating is tanking, bro. It's tanking. There were in Aurora, Colorado, there really were Trinidad and Tobago gangs that were holding hostage people. And people were outraged, man. But he's doing it all the wrong ways. He's literally taking his own platform. He's taking his own issues and he's shooting them like fish in a barrel. So now it's literally his approval rating is 41%. And by the way, we haven't even gotten to the next year. Don't forget there's midterms, man. Don't forget there's midterms in 2 years. So at this rate, I don't think the Democrats will have any problem taking the House of Representatives. They might even take the Senate. And for what, really? Because did they do anything? This is what really frustrates me, man, with partisan politics, is the fact that did the Democrats even do anything to win the House or the Senate? Or did this guy just take his mandate, take his own platform, and shoot it in the face? I don't get it.
No, and that's an excellent point. Let's put things in perspective, right? Because again, the Republicans right now are in control. The only branch of the government they don't have in a stranglehold is the judicial branch, right? But again, let's back out and put everything in perspective. We have the President of the United States who is actively and consciously ignoring the Supreme Court. He has delivered a legally protected individual into a foreign concentration camp. He's going to continue to do it. He's even went on Fox News and he said, when asked about deporting Americans to a gulag in El Salvador, quote, "We want to do it. I would love to do that." What kind of person talks like that? That is clearly not the best and the brightest that we have to offer. The fact that there's any American that is willing to do that makes me sick to my stomach. I don't just hang my head in shame. I am sick to death of these ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous viewpoints, and these assertions are, what can I even say? I mean, we're in a constitutional crisis. This is not just proto-fascism. This is fascism. This is exactly what fascism is maturing in our country. And if we don't stop it, it will never stop. And so what you say about him simply, shooting his policies and his platform ultimately, and everything that he and the Republicans generally stand for in the face, this is nothing short of unprecedented.
Yeah, because like when we said we didn't want like criminal gangs from other countries in the country, or we wanted to, we did. A large majority of Americans wanted criminal gangs deported. We did not expect, Donald, that you would take a Maryland father who has a autistic 5-year-old and you would pull him over and have his child watch as you arrest him, take him to ICE, and deport him before he even has a chance for a trial. We didn't expect that. Okay, we just didn't want the gangs, bro. We didn't expect all of that extra shit. I don't understand, man. Like I don't know. I'm with you. I don't even have words anymore, bro.
I mean, we have his wife. So Jennifer Vasquez Sura, I apologize for the pronunciation. She offered a view and where she says he dedicated himself to making our family's American dream come true, and he even pleased to him, Kilmar, if you can hear me, stay strong. God hasn't forgotten about you. Our children are asking, when would you come home? And I pray for the day. What about that seems so unappealing, so gang-like, so just depraved, and so. What about that seems un-American? They seem like such
free speech.
Yeah,
That you like so much.
It's unbelievable. I mean, his wife is sick to death of not even knowing whether or not he's alive. How can anybody really sit there and say this is okay? Forget about whether or not someone's a foreigner. How can you call yourself a human being to have someone locked up like an animal and not even tell their spouse whether or not they're alive, and to have them extradited to a country that they were legally protected from? I mean, 2019, I believe it was, the judge said that he should not. There's no reason to take him back to El Salvador, and that's exactly where he was taken back.
Right. The place that he was fleeing. The place that he was actually coming to this country to seek asylum. From. And we, the Statue of Liberty, guys, I don't know if you know this, but it says, "Give me your tired, your refuged. We will give them peace. We will give them liberty and strength." That's what the Statue of Liberty says, guys. And our founding fathers, by the way, they made a constitution in which people that come into this country, the jurisdiction of our country, they are then on a land of the free and a home of the brave. They can actually see in real time a free people dictate their own destinies and seek empowerment through their government by civil servants who represent them as servants of the people. And that was their dream and mission. And it's like, it's the remnants of that is I would say the Republican people, conservative people, just forget about the fact that republicanism it doesn't exist anymore. Republicanism was equality under the law. I know you guys don't want to realize that. You think it's states' rights. It was actually equality under the law. Before states' rights existed, before the Civil War happened, do you know what Republicans were arguing for when they wanted black people to be emancipated? Equality under the law. I know. Y'all think it's states' rights, but it was equality under the law. That was the Republican principle. Conservatism principle was the market is free. There's a free market, there's free trade, and there's competition. And the best will rise to the top, and the worst will be disregarded by the consumers. And now we have winners and losers picking. Now we have Elon Musk, the biggest welfare queen in government, who was he was a winner picked by Barack Obama in 2008. And he's literally just latched on to every single president. By the way, if you conservatives, if you think that Elon Musk is loyal, just realize that every single president that became president, he donated to. These techies, Mark Zuckerberg, they know who's going to be president. They donate to those guys the month before, and then they're fans. That's what they do. So they're not MAGA. And you guys not only been duped. I'm sorry to like keep talking, Melissa, if you want to say something, but it's just like
no, you got to break down.
You guys have been duped by billionaires, and they've taken your cares, they've taken your issues, they've taken your values, they've taken you. It's like invasion of body snatchers, and they've literally just like they've taken that, and then they've just raised taxes to the wealthy. They put HSB1 visas in place where Indians can make more than Americans wanting living wages. And I don't even. What are you even fighting for, guys? Why? The only thing that you guys can seek solace in is that maybe there's a transgendered woman out there who's drinking Bud Light, right? Maybe there's a. I mean that I go on TikTok, by the way, and all I see from these Republicans right now is culture war issues, because I know they don't want to look over in the Oval Office. I know they don't want to look anywhere to the government and see what the fuck Trump is doing. So all they could do is make fun of trans people and make fun of all these people, marginalized people. I'm gonna stop rambling, but
No, I agree, because it's unbelievable. I mean, regardless of what you think, right? Regardless of what MAGA is ultimately just far right wing. And so if you are going to be conservative, right, at least in the American sense, the traditional sense, you have to recognize that this country was founded by immigrants for immigrants. Right? What happened to knowing your history? And you have a president. So again, conservatives love small government. You have a president who is consolidating power in the executive branch. You have a president and an administration who is actively participating in the extradition of individuals to gulags and concentration camps in foreign countries. And like you said, they're basically just paying off individuals like Nayib to just treat humans as though they're playthings, and to sit here in front of the people, the American people, to come to our country and sit there and say, nope, I can't send him back. That is disgraceful. Like what happened to people knowing their history, knowing the law, knowing their rights? What is the point of America if we don't recognize any of the aforementioned?
I just wish that Thomas Jefferson and Samuel Adams and John Hancock were alive today. Because if they were alive today and they heard that this president wanted to deport American citizens to another country and outsource their custody for prisons, first of all, the Founding Fathers hated deals with any foreign entity. They had the Monroe Doctrine, famously, isolationist. If they realized that these guys were racking up deficits in our country from China and all of these and the Saudis, they would literally kill these guys themselves. Our Founding Fathers would shoot these guys themselves. I wish they were alive today. I would love Samuel Adams to see our deficit right now. That would literally, oh my God, Revolution Part 2, bro. You guys have no idea. You guys have no idea what the Founding Fathers were like. I suggest you read like Rilla said, read your history, guys. It's very interesting. Because the people you vote for today, you say you love the Constitution and all that. You love our flag, our freedom. Thank you for your service and your freedom. These people died for our freedom. Well, guess what, guys? Our freedom was our freedom of speech. Our freedom was our freedom from religion. Our freedom was the ability to manifest our destiny with life, liberty, and happiness. It's all there. You read it. Can you guys read? I just want to make sure. Purple Rose, I really wanted to hear from you today. I invited you here because he's always adminning on your live stream. And so all I hear from him is, again, please don't say the words, or I want to hear his views. So Purple Rose, can you give me any kind of insight on what you think about all this? Write it in the chat at least, man. If you're listening still. Because I want to hear from you, man. I never do. And it's something that we need to do, guys. We need to talk about these issues seriously. People always talk about how we shouldn't talk about politics. I think we should. We should just stop being partisans, okay? Because the partisan thing is what makes you sick.
That's actually one of the things that we tend to welcome. So, for example, on my platform, and of course, you mentioned that Purple Rose is a great help in moderating the aforementioned. We have individuals of all walks of life, right? And I go out of my way. A lot of people don't know this, but I actively fight against being in any kind of bubble or echo chamber. I go out of my way to attempt to find right-leaning individuals. With which to, I can discuss the issues and debate them as well. And so Purple is actually one of the individuals, with whom I share some disagreements in regards to, social and political issues. However, he's a reasonable, rational man in that he understands many of the things that we've been talking about. The fact that our forefathers could not stand to see what's happening, the things that America stands for, basic lessons in history, in the lessons in policy, legality, our basic rights. It's unbelievable to me that so many MAGA supporters who are so, how do I say, hell-bent, dead set on doing everything they can to show a man like Trump their support and the administration their support, don't even know the very basics upon which America is founded. It's not surprising, but it is shocking, it's saddening, and it's sickening.
I think I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Let's see. I think I have this video. Oh no, I don't. I wanted to talk about this Luigi Mangione case, but I guess I forgot to upload the video. But just real quickly, guys, we just got a few more minutes. Have you heard about this? And if you haven't, then maybe we'll just stop now. But Luigi Mangione, of course, he's being tried in where did he do you know where he murdered that guy, or he allegedly murdered that guy? He did not murder that guy, actually. There was something else. It was Barack Obama who murdered that guy. But do you know where he's being tried?
No,
York,
please
right?
go ahead and share.
I think it's New York, because the New York mayor, Eric Adams, had a scandal, and he, to get out of his scandal, he was doing a photo op with Luigi Mangione. They did the perp walk. They did the perp walk. Yeah, check that out. So he's being tried in New York, and the liberal state of New York is asking for the death penalty for Luigi Mangione. It's the first time they've asked for the death penalty almost ever, man. But for killing one of their their wealthy elite, I mean, you have to ask for the death penalty, of course. Do you think that he is going to be tried as is he convicted as guilty? What do you think? What do you think about it?
I mean, I think if things are going to be done, in a fair and as unbiased a manner as possible, realistically, no. He has. I don't think I've ever seen a single individual rise from a nobody into a somebody, from a zero almost to a hero, or at the very least some kind of anti-hero, because infamous as he is, for allegedly, again, killing the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, and even being put on trial. Never have I ever seen an individual be so popular, not just in the eyes of the general public, but even with it, while incarcerated, with the prisoners themselves. He's gotten donations in all forms. His defense team is talking about the Department of Justice's decision to pursue the death penalty as state-sponsored murder. I simply cannot see a single juror who knows anything about the case whatsoever being unbiased. In fact, I think just attempting to find, a pool of jurors that are not somehow quote unquote tainted in some way, shape, or form is going to be a challenge in of itself. And I guarantee that there are going to be people who get on there who are going to play at not knowing the facts and not knowing what's been going on, but they absolutely are going to do everything they can to get this man off. Just it's that simple. Yeah, get him off. Get him off. Everyone should. Everyone should perform.
I would like to find a way on that jury. I would really love to find a way, because if I was on that jury, he would walk. Because we got a few more. We got an ice cream. We got ice cream lover in San Francisco with 10 cities. Next for you, Luigi. Just so you know. Just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Hypothetically, but of course, he didn't do it at all. They have no evidence that he did it. What, he had a manifesto? His manifesto was literally like, what? They denied my health care, and so they shouldn't do that because I paid into it. It was really rational. I don't really think it was a manifesto, honestly.
And you know what? That applies to all Americans. That applies to virtually any American. Shoot, it applies to me. Like, how many times have we been denied for the care that we deserve, for the coverage that we've been doing nothing but paying into? And so you have an individual who is sick of the system. And is it any wonder? Is there a single individual in this country who's not exceedingly wealthy and who is not just sick to death of the situation that our healthcare system is in? So, like you said, even if, and I say this, I really do mean this, if everything is done fairly, even if this man is in fact guilty, I don't think he's going to be held legally culpable. I don't think so. I think the jury is not going to. I don't think.
You know, the judge of his case is from the healthcare industry.
I don't doubt it.
Stack this hard. They're not going to. They're not going to be impartial. In fact, they're going to go the opposite way. I feel like we'll see, but I feel like they're going to stack that jury with elites. No jury of his peers is going to exist.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
They're going to go to upstate New York. They're going to go to They're going to go to all of those places, and they're going to find the most ardent. Don't you dare talk about Luigi. You're going to get banned. You're going to get zucked. And they're going to kill him, and they're going to kill him, and because they have to kill him relentless, because if he doesn't die, then the fire doesn't ever get snuffed out. And with him, it's a flicker. And there could be more flickers, and that could start a fire. So they have to really snuff out this fire before it starts. I feel like it's a threat to them. And so I know they
agree. Absolutely agreed. In fact, that's why, I preface it with saying if everything, ends up being fair, which of course I doubt they'll be impartial. Of course, they're not going to try him with a jury of his peers. They'll make sure everything possible is stacked against him because, like you said, it's in the rich's best interests to do so. And so the one thing I'll maybe push back on slightly, only ever so slightly, is if in fact he is put to death, will he become a martyr? Will that in fact cause the flames to? Yeah. Will that be fanning the flames? Maybe even throwing gasoline or something on them. I don't want the man, of course, to die, whether or not he did it. Should he be punished to some degree? I mean, he did take a life. Is it cold-blooded murder though? I mean, that remains to be seen and debated on. But ultimately, I would love to see a sort of what if scenario where I get to find out whether or not the taking of his life would result in some kind of uprising from an individual or individuals at large.
Usually liberals don't think that it would. Usually liberals think that, of course, with the death penalty, that's a finite thing, and the state doesn't have any right to take away life, liberty, and happiness. That's what liberals usually think. So I don't know. In this case, it could be different because, of course, they're swayed by the institutions and the elites that are constructing power. I constantly hear them talk about, these trust the experts and stuff like that. And I'm all about trusting the experts, okay, in science. But you know how I feel about the government. All right, so I don't know. Experts in what? That's what I have to ask next. But guys, so many different questions. Relentless, thanks for being here. Jabari was sick today, guys, and I had another invitation for Alyssa. She's going to be on this live stream. We're going to talk about some stuff. And because I really, guys, I don't want to just leave anybody out. The right, the left, we're all Americans, and we're all needing to be free thinking, innovative, and open minded. So, Purple Rose, thanks for putting your opinions on here. And next time I'll buy you a burner phone so you can use that, or maybe a little iPad. Guys, donate to Tommy Nation Politics, Cash App Tommy Nation Politics, one word, or you could just go to www.tommynationpolitics.com and donate there. We're free thinking, innovative, open minded, new, and progressive media. And you could catch Relentless on TikTok. He is always throwing it down, bro. He is a soldier. Where can they find you, Relentless?
Yeah, absolutely. On TikTok under relentless_VGTA, as well as on Discord. Feel free to reach out to me, under the same relentless_VGTA.